Talking with the experts.
Welcome to Talking with the Experts, where we believe that success is a journey, and every journey is easier with help from friends. That's why we bring you top-notch experts and real business heroes eager to share their lessons from the road to success. We delve into new topics each week: effective marketing strategies, innovative problem-solving, financial planning, and team building. We tackle everything you need to know to grow your business and keep it thriving. Whether you dream about launching your first startup or are a business veteran looking to shake things up, we've got you covered. With each episode, you'll gain knowledge, boost your confidence, and be inspired to take action. So, grab a coffee, make yourself comfortable, and join our exciting journey. You're not alone in this. We're here, guiding you, cheering for you, and celebrating each milestone. Let's turn your business dreams into reality, starting today. Here is your host, Rose Davidson.
Talking with the experts.
Welcome to episode 481, where Liu Liu discusses with us why cross-cultural intelligence is so important in today's business.
It's like you can buy as many as cookbooks if you like, but that doesn't make you a cook. So I think it's the same thing with culture. You can read, but then it doesn't make you a cultural intelligence. I think it's people like myself is to help you to how to translate that into the head knowledge, if you like, into your day-to-day work, to apply to your business activities on a day-to-day. For example, I talked about the beginning of business. Later on, you need to talk about how do you negotiate pricing with your clients, what are the different approaches when it comes to negotiate. And yesterday I was talking to another business owner, and he said, when you deal with Japanese companies, they don't negotiate. It's like all the pricing listed on a document. If you argue with that, they feel quite offended.
Talking with the experts.
Hello, and welcome to Talking with the Experts. I'm your host, Rose Davidson from rosedavidson.com. Talking with the Experts is about all things business by business owners for business owners. You can find it on all good podcasting streaming platforms and on YouTube. Now, it's something that we haven't talked about before on Talking with the Experts, and that's cross-country and cross-cultural teams and how we can go through the cultural differences that members of teams bring to the team. It's quite an interesting topic, and my next guest, Liu Liu, is going to be discussing about cross-cultural intelligence and why it's important in today's society to be aware of the different aspects of cross-cultures. Welcome, Liu Liu. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Good morning, good evening, good morning, Rose from the UK, and good evening or good day to the listeners wherever you are listening from. So thank you for having me on the show.
Oh, it's my very great pleasure, and I'm interested to find your input into cross-cultural team building, because it's something that a lot of us as business owners may come across when we're hiring team members, especially like virtual assistants and so forth from overseas, and things that we should be mindful of when we are hiring people from other countries.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in this day of age, in the so-called global business world, more and more companies, whether you are big or small, you are ending up actually either hiring or working with people either across country or in your same country, but they come from different cultural backgrounds. So this is becoming more of a norm, but people are taking it for granted. So they are not aware the issues might occur when working or managing people across country and cross culture, because the fact that the business language is English, that gives a false impression that we are all speaking the same language. But when you lift up the bonnet, like the Americans say, then actually we don't. So that's where the issues comes in.
Yeah, I agree. I think I've worked in with businesses that come from different cultures than my own, and I found some of the things, quite not, I wouldn't say weren't confronting. Well, they were confronting for me because I didn't understand that I may have been upsetting them in some way because I didn't understand what their culture was. It's, like eye contact and all sorts of other things that, that we as business owners or as people in general aren't aware of, and we just take eye contact for instance for granted, because we're taught to look people in the eye, but in other cultures it's not an acceptable behavior. So how can we learn then to navigate the difference between cultures, and how should we make ourselves aware of the differences?
Yes, I think I call myself as cross-cultural intelligence coach. That involves twofold. So the first is actually, as you and me, as ourselves, how much do we understand about our own culture or cultures, like you or me or many other people who now have moved or lived in different countries. So every time you do that, you add another layer of culture onto yourself. So the first thing is, how do you understand? How much do you understand about yourself? And second is actually about how you understand other people's cultural behavior or the cultures driving their behaviors. So and also your willingness to understand, to learn. So when these two come together, that forms the full package of cultural intelligence. Yeah.
So you you work internationally with organisations and businesses to help them to communicate, improve their communication and the cooperation between their staff. What sort of things do you do to help organisations and businesses improve this communication?
Yeah. So what I do is I basically I coach people, mainly managers, senior or middle managers or managers to be, to help them to understand the cultural gaps and then understand how to bring the best out of the different members of the team, and also avoid any conflicts or the differences, so that the aim of any business is you want to perform, you want to deliver the outcome, and you want to make profit. So that is what I do. So like last week, I was in London meeting with, we have this Global Chamber of Commerce spring gathering, and I was meeting with another business owner, and he said, I wish I met you a week earlier, because we had a business meeting with the Chinese delegation, and they went into the meeting. It's a pure and simple the seating issue. So of course, you go into a meeting, you sit at a long table, two parties at opposite side. So the Chinese delegation side, then the head of the delegation will sit at the middle, and then all the people spread across. But then the English side, they just didn't understand that. They took a simple practical view, because there's a screen, the screen for the projector screen on one side of the table. So all the delegates, heads or not heads, they scrunched up to the front, close to the projector screen. So they just want to be close and to talk. Of course, then the Chinese side left feel like we are not respected. And then it's like, what are you doing all scrunched up on one side? Because I'm supposed to be speaking to my counterpart sitting opposite. So small things like this really can really cast a shadow of a business. If you don't know, you don't know. And then they walk out of the room, then this gentleman said to me, yeah, I wish I met you before. So we didn't know what's going wrong. And it's just, they're not happy. Yeah. So
Yeah.
my job is to really help people to understand even small things like this. How do you make it work?
Yeah, I would have thought, though, in my mind, that who would ever organise the meeting would have found out, the protocols of a visiting dignitary or visiting, group of people, that, how they do stuff. I would have thought that they would have done their homework. But obviously, a lot of businesses don't do their homework and can cause so much damage to their reputation.
Yes, so I think it's human nature. We like to start doing things from what we know, so what we are familiar with, and then especially in the business world, when so-called time is money, you tend not to spend or think that way. So because, like I said, yeah, you just want to go straight into the business. But that itself is an issue because, like you say, around the world, there are, broadly speaking, two different kinds of cultures. You have the relationship-based cultures versus the task-oriented cultures. So when these two meet together, I think the example I gave is a typical example of your European task-oriented culture go straight into the business, and then while the Chinese side is relationship based. So they want to build relationship and get to know you first before they talk about business. So yeah.
I find that with most Asian cultures that they do want to get to know you. They want that know like before they even discuss business. And so there's, just certain things that you do that you you wouldn't do in a Western culture.
Yeah. So I think that's also in the business world, that's very important is how two parties build trust. So how two parties build trust? For the task-oriented culture, they build trust by the people's performance, by what you can produce. So that's why straight to the business, you demonstrate your product, your pricing, your everything else. But for the relationship-based culture, they build trust based on relationship. They want to get to know you at a personal level, quite deep sometimes. And then before they feel like they feel comfortable with you, and then they can talk about business. Otherwise, they feel like, I don't know if I can trust this person or not. Yeah. So it is like when I went to Cambodia many years ago to deal with two groups of organizations. I took different approach. So like with the expats-led organizations, I went into the office. We went onto the business straight away. They gave me more like a mini interview. They want to suss out. So what qualifies you to come to lead this program? While with the Cambodian organizations, I invite them to the hotel. We had a meal together. We drink tea, and then we just talk about family. We're journeying to the organization, and then they feel comfortable. Then the next day, then we go to the office, talk about work. So there's a different journey, different approach, how you build trust, even to start with, and let alone some other steps later on.
So I guess that sort of leads into a question of how did you get into this cross-cultural intelligence?
Yes, I think you can. There are many different ways. I think there's no shortage of cultural books, if you like. Nowadays, you can buy books if you want to work in a different country. You can buy books, loads of books, from the travel sort of tourist level cultural book to the more in-depth scholarship research. But the challenge is for everyday people. It's like you can buy as many as cookbooks if you like, but that don't make you a cook. So I think it's the same thing. with culture, you can read, but then it doesn't make you a cultural intelligence. I think it's people like myself is to help you to how to translate that into the head knowledge, if you like, into your day-to-day work, to apply to your business activities on a day-to-day. For example, I talked about the beginning of business. Later on, you need to talk about how do you negotiate pricing with your clients, what are the different approaches when it comes to negotiate. And yesterday I was talking to another business owner, and he said, when you deal with Japanese companies, they don't negotiate. It's like all the pricing listed on a document. If you argue with that, they feel quite offended. So what do you do with that? And yeah, so that is my job, to really help you to get to the nitty-gritty day-to-day running the business. And the biggest challenge for men in business, or if you work cross-culturally, is time management. Yeah, so different cultures have different concept of time. So if you speak to if you arrange a meeting with the German companies that we meet at 8 o'clock, so they will be there 2 to 8. So if you be there at 8 o'clock, it's late. But the same thing translating to, say, maybe about Portuguese or Italian, and they'll say, oh, it's okay. It's just an indicator. So you see what I mean? So when you hit day-to-day running, when you work out a business meeting like this, you can't, you can instantly get people's blood pressure very high. Then how do you navigate that? And the most extreme cases that we had meeting in Nepal, because in Nepal, in India, they have this caste system. So meaning the higher caste and lower caste people don't interact in general. So I arranged a meeting with somebody, and I took this guy to the hotel, and he said, I'm sorry, sir, I can't go into this hotel because my caste are not supposed to enter this hotel because it's run by a higher caste. So what do you do? So all this is quite it sounds like in a movie, but it really can hit you on a day-to-day basis.
It can be quite challenging, can't it? I mean, with migration and immigration and all those things, with new cultures coming into, Western countries, it can be a real challenge, building your team with culturally different people, especially if they're new to the country, and they don't understand Western culture, and we certainly don't understand theirs. How can we educate ourselves? I mean, I know you said about reading books and things, but, is there some other avenue that we could go to, learn about these cultures on a better level?
Yes, there are certain things you can do. Obviously, I would love to work with any of you listeners to come to speak to me, and we can work out. I do have a program to help you to navigate through this management issue. But certain things you can do, like what I do at work in our organization, we do things like cultural days, if you like, but not at the surface level. You can say bring and share food. So, but we don't bring a McDonald's. So you bring your cultural food, but don't stop there to say actually what's the meaning of this food, and then celebrate different festivals. Again, don't just for the surface. They actually ask people to explain to you what does this festival mean, what's the cultural heritage behind it, so that you can actually learn, and then leading from there, you can get a glimpse of people say, so what does this mean in your day-to-day life? How do you apply this at day-to-day work? And then you can start to understand actually when people behave in certain ways, there's a reason behind it. But the key thing I'll say to everybody when it comes to cross-cultural is we have a blind spot. So we, including myself, we tend to think that my culture is the only right culture and is the best culture. So that is a dangerous place to be. And the second principle I say to people is one, don't compare. So when you compare your own culture, both way, Western or non-Western, when you compare your culture with other cultures, that immediately leads to this trying to figure out which one is better, which one is worse. So that immediately leads to a bias and discrimination, whether you are more overt or less overt. So I would say actually you compare from the point of view that how interesting they are doing the same thing in a different way. So try to understand, put yourself into other people's shoes. So there will be a good way to gain those insights rather than just looking at it say, oh, haha, so funny, they do it like this. Why the Chinese eat their meal with chopsticks, and then but go behind it. What the reason behind it?
Yeah, no, good point. Good, and I love going to festivals for other cultures because I love the food, for a start, and I love the colours and I love the pageantry that goes along with those cultures, and I think it's so interesting that to learn the history behind why they do certain things and why they celebrate certain things during the year, and I find it really fascinating. And I think if a lot more of us did that, there would be less conflict in the world if we took the time to understand other cultures and other nations. I think there's reasons behind everything, and it's built into their history. So why not understand it? We all have to live together. We have to survive on this planet somehow. So why don't we just learn to get along? Is my philosophy.
Yes, that's right. And you touched the point about the conflict. I think even when it comes to conflict, different cultures express it very differently. So some would say very directly, I totally disagree. And then the others say, I largely agree. And then some group culture would say, actually, if everybody agrees, I agree. So it's a whole lot of code from the very clear to coded communication. How do you decoding that? So it's, again, this is something that I could help people with. So to understand, when people, they even till today, always makes me laugh. When you're meeting with English people, they always have this interesting phrase called, oh, this is interesting. So for the people outside of the culture, they'll say, oh, he or she is genuinely very interesting what I'm saying, my proposal. But if you really understand what the English people really mean, it's like, oh, this is total nonsense. So all this coded communication, it can really get people onto the wrong track of then miscommunication goes on from there.
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Liu, where can people find you if they want to learn more about this cross-cultural intelligence? Because it's very interesting, and I think a lot of people and a lot of businesses would be actively seeking you out.
Absolutely. I would say, because myself is a manager, over the years, I would say you as a manager would receive loads of training from financial management, project management, so on and so forth, you name it. But to this date, I'm yet to actually find a company who gave proper cross-cultural management training. So I wrote an article recently that actually this is the one missing tool in your management toolbox. So do come find me on LinkedIn, or I have a website, liuliucoaching.com. So each individual's journey and challenge is different. I would really love to talk with whoever who are struggling, or I would say the most difficult thing is people are not necessarily knowing they are struggling with a cross-cultural issue. They might struggle thinking why my management work is not working, because they don't know what they don't know. Then I hope this program will help to enlighten people to say, my project is not delivering. It might be there's a cultural element in there. So yeah, do come to find me on my website, on the LinkedIn. So I'd love to work with anybody to really get you. My program is about speed up. So you don't need to learn the hard way. I give you the fast track insight. Yeah, so you don't have to learn the hard way.
Wonderful. Liu Liu, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for sharing with us today about how we can be better business owners and people in general, humans in general, I think would be better put. Please enjoy the rest of your day, and I look forward to talking with you again.
Thank you for having me. And again, yes, likewise, I really enjoyed being on the show, and I look forward to work with you in the future, and more importantly, to hear from our listeners so I can help you.
Lovely.
Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye for now.
Bye.
Hi, I'm Rose Davidson from Talking with the Experts. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Global Glamping Charities for their valued support. Global Glamping Charities, solving homelessness in all its forms. Reach out to them at globalglamping.org.
Talking with the experts.